Joined now by Tina Griffin, the counterculture mom. Tina, thanks for joining us.
Hey, what's going on? Man, this is getting a little bit freaky here. Every week you got something wild happening.
That's a big heads, all I can say. We're going to start, though, by talking about him. I believe his name is Louis Freeze or Freezy. I don't know how you pronounce it. He's going to be the first boy swimsuit model. I guess you're not allowed to use that pronoun, but he's going to be the first male swimsuit model.
He does say he's confused with who he is as a person, which we can get to in a minute. So that really tells me a lot. I don't think he knows what he's after and what he's doing. Regardless of the reasoning, this guy does need help, which we're going to talk about here in a minute as well. But yeah, Sports Illustrated Swimsuit Magazine. I try to look a little funky and hip and cool, fully clothed. It's kind of swimsuit modelish, Sports Illustrated, just with clothing on. That's a big difference here. But they have a yearly issue, we're all well aware, that features female models wearing swimsuits from all around the world. They have 15 finalist spots that are highly sought after by many supermodels, as in women. Now, it's not a spot that I wanted, and I don't want my husband looking at these 15 finalists or looking at Sports Illustrated to begin with because of what's in it, and it's bad enough with what the women are showing on the outside and promoting with guys struggling with different issues. It's the last thing we want to set our eyes before and check out. But now we have, first time in 57-year history of Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue, a male model, which he is male, is being considered to grace the pages of the annual publication. And Lewis was named as one of the coveted finalist spots, which were reversed for females or reserved for females in previous years. 21-year-old college student from Minneapolis. We have a lot of issues here. He basically says, quote, "I have no clue where my gender really falls at the moment," end quote. That tells me this kid grew up in a Common Core public education system, growing up on Hollywood and brainwashing tactics. And now we have a guy that is now trying to dress like a woman to win a spot for a supermodel spot that a lot of women are now considering, why even try if we have a man dressed in women attire? It's a mess.
Does he actually dress like a woman? I mean, right there, he doesn't seem to be. And he certainly does not seem to have adopted a female name. So he was born male, right?
Yep.
And he is male. He's confused, but does he say he's a woman actually?
I didn't see that anywhere. I'm looking at him trying to be one with the tankini style swimsuit just by image in the first 3 seconds. I mean, it's getting so crazy that I was thinking about the fact that we should be showing what men should look like at the beach. Like, what is the correct attire? Is it going to be to a point where we can't even find trunks for our boys and our men to wear because they only have tankini options for boys and men?
Well, they are. Almost all the major clothing providers are going ungendered, gender neutral, right? Aren't they? So
Yep.
the clothes that boys and girls wear generally are being more artificial right now. That they're getting rid of obvious gender distinctions. That, of course, is part of the sociology of all of this. This is pretty much a biological male who has not a transition to female. He's a biological male who tries to look as feminine as he can without going as far as wearing fake breasts or other enhancements. And he's going to be your one of your Sports Illustrated supermodels. And here's my question. He's got the body of a 13-year-old boy. Other than bragging rights for the stupidest contest in the history of the world, what does SI get out of this, Sports Illustrated?
I really don't see it, and I really can't answer that. But you nailed two key things to me. Number one, you just mentioning the last couple of sentences made me think this guy looks like a really handsome young man. He could easily be on the billboard of some classy clothing. I wouldn't go, sexy type of ads and Sky Vodka ads, but he would make an excellent looking model as a male. So he's missing the mark by a landslide. He has the looks, he's just using it for the wrong side. Secondly, you nailed it when you talked about confusion in a store. Now that stores are not making or being forced to, whatever the reason is, picking, choosing, or being forced to have a genderless location for clothing, I am starting to be confused walking into certain stores not knowing where to go for girl attire for my young girls and boy attire for my young boys because they are mixing everything together. So if we start to become confused when we are adamant and truthful on what's going on in our society, this is going to cause a lot of chaos. It gets to the point where we're going to have to only shop at stores that adhere to the two sexes, male and female, and just support those stores with our cash and our time.
Well, related to this, you ask yourself that question again. What does SI get out of this? What did they ever get out of a swimsuit edition? Most of their circulation was men who were actually interested in sports. So they thought they'd throw a little female flesh in there, and now they're using that as a great tool, I guess, to try to brainwash or to re-educate the manly men who watch sports and are used to seeing young women. And it's interesting. Wasn't it last year they had like the first plus size swimsuit model in SI?
Yeah, they did. And here's what's crazy. Just you mentioning that makes me think that I think we're going to have a lot of men mad that they're putting this guy in instead of a woman.
Yeah, I mean, at least with the plus size women that you had last time, they were recognizably female. He looks like he could be any one of 1,000 gender confused soccer players from Europe, as far as I'm concerned. Let's go on to our second story here, which is also in its own way eye rolling. We've got Will Smith and his wife Jada Pinkett Smith. She has been very open about her sex addiction. Apparently, she has slept with an incredible number of people. This is part of an arrangement between her and her husband. They have an open marriage. And is anybody surprised now that the daughter of this kind of a marriage is utterly confused?
Yeah, it's no surprise. And really going through a story, it's an eye-opener. A lot of people follow her. They follow her parents. It's a sad situation. But the fact that a 20-year-old daughter here of Will and Jada Pinkett Smith, who grew up observing her parents' open marriage, that has caused her to now do the same thing. She thinks being in a romantic relationship with more than one person at a time is the best option because she says that there's too many affairs, too many broken marriages if it's just between two people. Therefore, let's just go ahead and set ourselves up for failure and having 52 partners in a week because then if we lower the standards, that's basically what she's saying, we won't be disappointed. But what a sad state to be living that lifestyle. And then because she's I don't want to say model because I don't consider her a model for my kids, but a role model and a celebrity, she's having a lot of people think, hey, not a bad idea. Let's lower our standards and get to the point where we can't be disappointed.
How bizarre is that? Her argument is that I've seen my parents in polyamorous relationships, and I don't want to ever have somebody cheat on me. It's too easy to cheat. So I'm going to, instead of cheating on my husband with another man, I'm just going to have a bunch of husbands, or I'm going to have a bunch of quote unquote committed partners. This is, of course, polyamory, right? And so you get to sleep with 10, 20, 30 people in a committed relationship, and that's not affairs. That is in their own warped minds, that's the language of chastity, isn't it? I mean, isn't it amazing how the left redefines this? And we just saw the Sports Illustrated issue, how they're defining what woman even means. He's not a woman. He's absolutely a boy. He doesn't even really try to look like a woman, but now he's in the woman section of the swimsuit edition. Same thing now with Willow Pinkett. For her, she wants to be a committed person. She wants to take her sexuality and her relationships serious. And so rather than date the one person she loves and risk having him cheat on her, they're just going to make sure from the outset that they're cheating on each other, only they're going to call it love. They're going to call it marriage. They're going to call it commitment. They're going to call it trust. It seems the sluttier you get with your behavior with the left, the more they call it actual marriage.
Yeah, it's a really sad state because when you're lowering your standards to that point, I mean, what a shallow lifestyle that they're leading. And I just want to say scientifically, everybody's like, well, what does science say? Well, it's very easy. Psychology Today says this type of lifestyle has major disadvantages. Number one, complexity of dealing with the emotions of having multiple partners. That alone is a 20-minute segment, if not a 2-hour segment you and I could talk about. You know how much drama it is between trying to make a marriage work with one person. I can't even imagine that mess. Number two, children are affected by this as well. Absolutely. Look at how she was affected by her own parents' actions throughout the years. Unbelievable. They get attached to their parents' partners and feel a loss and disappointment when these partners leave. They're seeing this happen with their parents. They now are in these messed up relationships. And what if a certain kind of emotional bond happens between your spouse that you were originally married to, it caused a lot of havoc. Number 3, legal issues dealing with the housing and adultery laws. I can't even imagine that mess. Now, through our app, we constantly are pumping out the way God has caused relationships and created relationships to be from the get-go through the Counterculture Mom app. We have a lot of information on there on how Hollywood is twisting the truth, hypocritical, and how we need to pray for these celebrities, honestly. Download the Counterculture Mom app, click on premium. Our team of 23 is pumping out this information daily. These are just 2 alerts of literally the last 30 that we had in the last week. And the info we're getting, response we're getting from parents is telling us we're on the right track. Same with Freedom Project Media, which you're doing, Dr. Duke, every single week to save families. You're getting great response, and my followers are getting great response from the stuff that you're pumping out. So keep up the great work.